Hello, everyone. My name's Hank Sutalo with Holistic Health and Healing, and I welcome all of you to our first ever webinar broadcast. Today, we're going to be doing Shaman Basics with Don Zane Kerfman. Do you hear the call? And I'm just going to let you know a little bit about Zane before he starts to talk here. First, a little bit about me. I'm the owner of Holistic Health and Healing. We have a website, hhhexpos.com, and it's mainly for the Cleveland area, but there is a free community calendar. There's a holistic directory, and we sponsor workshops throughout the year, including Zane, who will be teaching in the Cleveland area about 13 weekends throughout the summer. And I also have a private practice in Lakewood as well. And then for Don Zane Kerfman, he's a healer, teacher, and lecturer. You see a picture of him there in Peru with some of the people who he trained with. And he travels the country teaching the spiritual and healing arts, and he's the founder, and I apologize in advance for mispronouncing it, founder of the Salka Mainwe Ailu, a community created for the preservation of folk medicine ways and earth honoring ceremonies. He's also the author of Inca Mountain Magic, and you can see here on the screen, he has a whole plethora of additional things that he's known for. But just to share with you a little bit about how I came across Zane, my friend Dave Orlasky just sent me an email, and Dave has traveled the world to Egypt, to Peru. He's been to all these places, and he sent me an email saying, this guy just blew him away. You got to bring him to Cleveland if you can. And that's when I reached out to Zane, and just a couple years later, we have him teaching for us. So without further ado, I will go ahead and turn it over to Zane.
Well, hello. I am very happy to be here and to be using this modern platform to introduce myself and get to know a little bit of a larger community out there. You did a very good job with the name of the community. It's Salka Munai Ayu. Of course, that is Quechua, which is the language of the Inca, which is actually the traditions that I have followed for a little close to 15 years now. And what we're going to be talking about in this particular webinar is what exactly is shamanism, because the name is thrown around a lot in communities these days, and people don't really have a good view or understanding of what the word itself means or what the related practices mean. Of course, a shaman is known as a healer and a wise person within traditional communities. So what exactly is shamanism? Well, shamanism is a, I can hear it originally started with the Siberian people, the Tungus tribe. And this is where the Western world, the anthropological world, and early cultural studies that began in Europe first encountered a quote unquote primitive way of life in which people were still connected to the natural world and had not taken such a rational view of the reality. They still lived by thinking and, of course, their intuition. These things changed as things moved on, and when the Western world made it to the Americas, they actually started to call the practices and religious ideas of the native tribes and the native peoples shamanism. Many people think shamanism is an actual native word to describe their healers, but in fact it comes from the Siberian region of the Eurasian plateau there. So all forms of shamanism, whether it is in Europe, Asia, or in the Americas, also Africa, but all these forms of shamanism are a life way that honors our interdependent connection with nature. They see us as part of nature, where in our modern Western way of thinking, we oftentimes get this concept that we are separate from nature, that we are fighting her or in some way trying to carve our way out of her, instead of seeing that all the of animism. And animism is the understanding that the universe is intelligent, that the universe has an intelligent energy that runs throughout it, that the universe is connected through in all of the ancient what we call shamanic traditions. We see that a belief that we are woven together of luminous fibers that spread out throughout all of creation and connect people and lands and spirits, and is a way of organizing and constructing the very physical world we live in. This is, in a sense, the idea of animism, which is that the world is alive and intelligent, that the earth herself has an intelligence that if we are patient and find a heart-centered way of being, we can develop an ability to communicate with her. Of course, shamanism also emphasizes the one-on-one direct experience of the divine. This is different than a lot of our monotheistic religions, which see the divine as a series of teachings or dogmas, and that you read a revealed scripture that gives you a way of connecting with the divine. Of course, there is absolutely nothing wrong with approaching divinity in such a intellectual way. But in shamanism, it is a physical experience of the divine. It is knowing that you are sitting directly at the table and hosting these divinities, and that you can form a personal connection with them instead of just a blind adherence to a dogma or a type of scriptural foundation. All forms of shamanism use a system of symbolic learning. And symbolic learning is something that was, in fact, very, very common in the past, and has not been so common in our modern world. But the way of teaching through symbology allows one to access deeper parts of their own psyche to find the answers to various questions they may have, such as what your place in this world is, how to function within your community, how to bring something positive about. All of this in the ancient shamanic traditions were taught to you through ritual and ceremony, understanding that each of us have a unique life path. And of course, that with each of our unique life path, we each have a unique relationship with the divine and the spiritual world. And it is about learning our unique way of being with the divine. So there is no, this does this for you, this will do this for you, but rather through the use of ritual and metaphor and ceremony, we touch and learn processes to discover our own knowledge, to discover our own answers to the questions that plague us. And in this way, it's something very personal, universal yet personal, that these rites, rituals, ceremonies, and metaphors can be passed on, and that every person can learn to receive information from it in their own unique way. And in fact, personally, the information they need for the questions or for the life path that they are following. And of course, all shamanic traditions, I shouldn't say all, but many of the shamanic traditions are a living tradition. And what I mean by a living tradition, from the very beginnings of these tribal traditions and spiritual ways, there has not been a break or a pause in the teaching or in the movement of wisdom and knowledge, that it has been passed from student to teacher through millennia, and that each generation gets to redefine, going back to that system of symbolic learning, each generation gets to redefine the entire tradition for their age and for the particular challenges of the age they find themselves in. In this way, they lend to the body a practical knowledge, and in fact, it is practical knowledge. These peoples were not so sympathetic to a sentiment. You know, something had to be real. The life was hard back then, so they did not just hold on to things as a way of honoring people or that had thought this way, but rather held on to things because it held a practical importance, and it helped them to acquire and to accomplish the goals they had set in their life. So what exactly is Peruvian cross-cultural shamanism? Of course, this is what I teach, a form of it that I call the Katari, which basically means, in a sense, the divine light tradition of cross-cultural shamanism. Well, Peru is a hotbed for these traditional ways, because in many ways, the modern world has left Peru behind. In many ways, it was left to develop on its own, as the Spanish and Portuguese peoples and as the Italians, they formed their own culture within the cities of this country. The actual rural areas outside of those cities were left pretty much undisturbed to develop on their own. So the two traditions that inform the teachings that I pass along the most are a tradition of Pakokuna, which is our name for a shaman. A Pakokuna in the Quechua language means nature mystic. And it is from the Pakokuna of the Quero peoples. And the Quero people are a nation of indigenous people to the Cusco region. They existed before the Incan Empire even came on the scene. Before they existed, they believe, completely back through time. They have records, by records I mean oral stories of their antiquity and how even the emperor, the first emperor of Peru, the founder of the Incan Empire, Macoquepac, how he had visited Queros looking for this capital to start this great empire. And the Quero, living between 16,000 and 20,000 feet above sea level, were for the most part left alone by the Spanish settlers. They were left to develop on their own in these high mountain regions. They had come under a form of slavery by some ranchers that had developed farms there in the foothills of those mountains. But other than that, they were left for the most part on their own. And in these regions of Peru where the Quero people live, they still live the old way of life. To this day, if you travel through Queros, you will find brick houses that are oftentimes smaller than a master bedroom, in which the average size family of 5 people live without a bed, with just a very rudimentary stove at an altitude where oxygen is very poor, meaning that fire gets started very poor. The women get up at around 3 in the morning just to start to try to get a fire going. You know, they live above the timberline, so they don't even have wood as a fuel to burn. So it takes a while to even get a fire going. And these huts are very drafty to the winds that blow through those regions. They eat a very modest diet, mostly potatoes and grains. They farm their own potatoes there in the mountains in a very harsh environment, to say the least. But this very harsh environment has given them everything they needed for their survival. In fact, the environment itself produces the correct conditions to freeze dry their potatoes. All they have to do is leave them sitting out. They do a form of breaking the peels or the skins of the potatoes, and then they leave them out on a cloth for a few days. And as it gets hot during the day, oftentimes into the 70s, upper 70s, and then crashes below freezing at night, these potatoes freeze dried, and it helps them to store food and to survive in this very harsh environment. You know, they do not have the conveniences of electricity except for a few solar panels that produce rudimentary electricity where they can run light bulbs in certain villages. They do have some battery powered CD players, so they're always in need for batteries to keep their tune engines playing there. But this environment and this isolation from the modern world meant that they held on to the life way of their ancestors. And to this day, in a very special ceremony called the Corriti ceremony that happens every year in Peru, the Quero are honored as the living spirit of the Inca because of the because they have taken this life way and ran with it for so long. They are a real window into the past, into the way humanity once thought. So one part of the Peruvian cross-cultural shamanism, as I teach it, comes from the Pacocuna tradition of the Quero Indians. And another part of it comes from a Quechuan group of Indians who live in the sacred valley of Cusco. It is also a form of Pacocuna, and it is a called the Corilazo tradition of Pacocuna, which means the golden thread or the golden door. And these two forms of Pacocuna are, of course, completely complementary of one another. They are just from two different tribes within the Andean region. Of course, there are other forms of Pacocuna, and there are other mystics within those mountains. And all of that information has been pulled together and resourced together inside of this this type of Peruvian cross-cultural shamanism. And I will get into a bit more what that is. In all of Peru, and in fact, all of the Quechuan-speaking peoples, there is an understanding of the causa y pacha. And this is where animism comes in, as we were speaking about, as shamanic traditions have always a view of the world that is animistic. In our tradition, that animism is called the causa y pacha, which roughly translates to a universe of living energy. And it is the understanding that everything in this entire universe is made up of and part of a living energy grid. You are a form of living energy. I am a form of living energy. The plants are another form of living energy. The stone people, the mountains are apus. They are, once again, another form of living energy. The very materials that make up your room and the identity of a house is a form of living energy. And with this idea of living energy, it is an idea of intelligent living energy, meaning that within a certain state of consciousness, everything has an intelligence. Everything has an ability to be communicated with. Everything has an ability to be honored and respected. And in this way, all these things can honor and respect us as well. Inside of the causa y pacha are two classifications or qualifications of living energy. One of those qualifications is Sami, and Sami are the refined, life-giving energies of the universe. They're effervescent. They're almost like a sizzling of a carbonated soda. They're full of life. And full of joy. And they have a way of transmuting or transforming one state into another state. Sami also, to be translated into English, translates into a couple different words. One is breath and another is luck. Of course, Sami is neither just the breath nor the luck, but in Quechua, words can be used for multiple purposes. And the language is a very empathetic language, a way of speaking, where you can almost frame it in any way and get your point across to another person. So Sami is the refined, life-giving energies of the universe. We could see them similar to chi or ki, prana. We can see them similar to the experiences that people, that the charismatic Christians have as they're working with the power of the Holy Spirit. Though the theology and the understandings are different, the experience behind it is similar. And in that way, we see Sami as these life-giving energies that have the potential to help unburden us in life. The other energy is one called Hucha, and Hucha means heavy energy. And Hucha is the energy that leads to illness. It also can lead to conflicts in our life. It can lead to things not going as smoothly as they could have went because there is this kind of form of an energy block. Hucha is very heavy, it's very dense, and it's very slow moving energy. It slows everything down. Of course, we cannot help being humans, we cannot help but produce and to accumulate huchas, this kind of heavy energy. So part of the training of a pakokuna is to learn where to put that hucha, how to use it, because we believe that everything in our living universe is of the light, and everything is in fact affirmative and life-giving. So hucha must also play a part or a role. So we learn how to deal with hucha. At first, we learn how to give hucha to certain spiritual energies or entities that take it as a form of food, like our beloved Mother Earth. She takes hucha as a fertilizer, and she can use that hucha to give you energy towards your dreams, to reorganize it. And then, yes, eventually at a higher level of apprenticeship, we learn to, in and of ourselves, digest or to transmute hucha back into the light. And this is what our healing traditions in Peru are based around, is the removal of hucha from a person and the replacing of those spaces left behind with the living energy of Sami, which is also a transformative energy that moves us from one state into another. So those are the two qualifications of energy inside of this living energy universe. Of course, there are many stratations, many graduations of energy vibration between there. The Peruvian pakokuna traditions retained a process of personal development. This process of personal development we have evidence that has been being used for about 2,000 years at least. The understandings and the metaphors and exercises of this process of personal development. This personal development is based on a dialogue with nature. This once again returning to the idea of animism, which is something that is in all shamanic traditions, that we actually can develop a way of being with nature and of communicating with her and with the natural beings of our environment, and that they can do some miraculous things for us. And now this is not the dialogue with nature of the ecologist or of people working within that field of ecology. A dialogue with nature for them is to learn how ecosystems work, or how the wetlands and the rivers fuel the farms, or the fertile areas around it, how to keep those local nature environments healthy, how the different parts of the environment play together in the entire health of the ecosystem. That is a dialogue with nature, but that is the academic idea of a dialogue with nature. When I speak of a dialogue with nature, I truly mean a dialogue, a communication, a speaking with the spirits of nature, with the mountains, the lakes, the streams, the rivers, the fields and valleys. It's not the way that you and I communicate in everyday life. It goes back to the idea of the Kausai Pacha, that living universe of energy. To the Inca, they were completely preoccupied within their culture with the experience of living energies and how those living energies play out in time-space events in the day-to-day reality. To explain that a little bit better, what I mean is they became accustomed to viewing their world from the view that living energy was the reality, and that everything that happens in our day-to-day life is a product of that living energy vibration. So they started to notice the living energies of different plants, of different mountains, of different streams, of different ecosystems, and how that living energy played on their own personal bodies, their own personal physiology and psychology, and how by enveloping themselves in this bosom of nature, they were able to access a new experience of reality itself. For any of you who have been mountain climbers or hikers who have spent a large amount of time in nature, and even for those of you who may have only spent a little bit of time in nature, there's something magical that happens when we're with her. When we are out in nature, she kind of quiets our mind after a while. She softens our heart. There's a natural feeling of expansion, a natural accessing of the original state of the human being, because we are actually part of nature. We have a divine role within that kingdom. So this dialogue with nature is based on the experiences of nature, like going out on a boat on a still, calm lake, and noticing how after a while you become like that lake. You start to become calm and still. You start to realize certain ideas, get certain inspirations. Of course, it is not the way you and I speak in everyday life. It is actually something that's based more on those two concepts of living energy, of heavy and light, of relaxed or tense, and something that develops from a proprioceptive type of sense into a communication with nature herself. Yes, nature can speak with us. And it's by this dialogue with nature, I mean how you can go to that mountain, how you can go to that lake, how you can go to that forest, and how it can tell you something very important about yourself, something that helps you move from the place you are in life and to grow to the next station of your own life. A process of personal development based on a dialogue with nature. The other thing that is beautiful and unique to the Andean traditions is that they are an inclusive tradition. What I mean by that is the Inca, for example, had a temple in Cusco, the big Viracocha temple, and it was the Cusco, of course, was the capital of the ancient Incan Empire. It was a royal and sacred city. and around it were many of the sacred shrines of the empire. But within that temple, the people who made up the Incan Empire, the tribes that made them up, were many. The Inca Empire spread itself kind of as a trade empire, though it did have to fight a few wars to correct some imbalances within its culture. Its very name is Tiwantinsuyu in Quechua, in the Incan language. And Tiwantinsuyu, Taiwan means four, Tin means united together, and Suyu means nations. The name itself tells us that it was a uniting of harmony, that these four tribes came together for the mutual benefit of each other through a heart-centered want to empower themselves in their world. They came together and they formed another nation, a larger nation. And this nation represented those four tribes. But in fact, as it grew to include hundreds of tribes with hundreds of religious ideas. And all of these tribes, their sacred icons, their statues, their wakas, were presented and displayed in the central temple. None being higher, none being lower. There was no true state religion, because in all actuality, the religion or the sacred tradition itself was based on a mystical understanding of our place in nature, and how through connecting with nature we could learn to be better individuals, a better species on this planet. So it was a very inclusive tradition, completely to the point that when Christianity came with the colonization movement, the native peoples freely accepted, to the most part, this new religion or this new idea. Of course, there were people who were forcibly converted, but for the most part, they saw it as just another religion or another tradition of light, one more path to that divine consciousness, that development of self. So they have incorporated not so much the Kero, because they have a very, very well, what we should say, ancient and pure version of the tradition that existed before the arrival, but especially in certain areas where curanderismo is practiced. And curanderismo is a practice of folk Catholicism, the folk healers of Spain, mixed with the native traditions, mixed with the ancient traditions, the pre-Columbian spiritual arts, mixed together with this folk Catholicism. Of course, the folk Catholicism was in many ways a throwback to earlier pagan ideas and worship of the European area, especially the Mediterranean there. Certain pagan practices that were able to be disguised within the larger framework of Catholicism. And Catholicism has played a beautiful role, though probably was not its intention, but a beautiful role in preserving traditions around the world that could find a way to hide their knowledge and their wisdom within the rituals and the icons of Catholicism. So in the Peruvian and Andean region, and especially as you move northward into Ecuador and into the jungles to the west and to the south, and to the you see that it is a very harmonious blending of traditions. It's very beautiful, and there is a bit of that within my teachings, because it is a tradition. The belief is, if there is a light, why not honor it? And that's the other thing about Peruvian cross-cultural shamanism, is that it's about honoring in your own way, how to take these ancient technologies of our ancestors and apply them to our modern world. And it teaches us how to include various spiritual and ancestral back of the work in Andean shamanism has to do with the lines to our ancestors and the cleansing of our ancestral huchas, which can lead to things that we see as inherited conditions that are passed through families. You see ate up with heart disease. Some families ate up with diseases such as cancer. Of course, sometimes this is an environmental occurrence. But another way that this happens is that it can be, in all actuality, an energetic vibration that is passed through the ancestral lines. So within the Peruvian traditions, we learn to access our ancestry and to cleanse the hucha of generation, to have if you will, a perfect line of communication back through our ancestral lines. And of course, as we clean these ancestral, every person's ancestry at the beginning goes back to the first, goes back to the first created of life in this universe. So as we are accepting and beautifying our ancestry, we are actually creating a stream of energy that goes back to that primal beginning and reinforms our entire energy bodies with that primal blueprint of what humanity is before we fell from grace or thought that we were kicked out of a garden, when we were walking as the animals in the forest and in the mountains, to reestablish beauty and to bring that beauty forward into our life. And of course, being an inclusive tradition, it means that we do not want to exclude any of the spiritual guides, teachers, or gods that any person who comes into the tradition has. The level of the tradition that I teach, we call it the fourth level, or the fourth rung of the Alto Misayok path. Alto Misayok is the high priesthood. There's also one called the Papo Misayok, which is the low priesthood. And it has its own various branches. But in the Alto Misayok priesthood, we have what we call a fourth level. Of course, all the levels should be seen as the same plane. It's the fourth level does not mean you are better or in any way more advanced or a better healer or a better diviner than those of the third or second level. What it actually means is that you have an additional, to put it in modern terms, software upgrade, where you can view the world in all of those other ways and in a new harmonizing way. Because that's what this fourth level is. It's the level of harmony. So we are able to access that. And in this tradition, that fourth level, a priest is called a Kurakakuyik, and that actually means the great digester of coca, or the great chewer of coca, which is a metaphor for the great chewer of information, of knowledge, the great digester. And one of the qualities of a fourth level human being is that they are able to step out of fanaticism. They are able to step away from pure fundamentalism into a greater inclusivity of religious and cultural beliefs. It means that they are able to honor at least two spiritual traditions that may be completely, in some senses, opposing to one another. So, such as the curandero can be 100% Catholic while still practicing 100% the old pre-Columbian ways. This is the fourth level explains how a person can go to a church, a temple, a mosque, the woods, or a mountain, and in all of these places, they can see that there's the same divinity behind it all, the same beauty and the same love behind it all, just with different cultural filters. And the fourth level has to do with a prophecy of our age. The prophecy, the Pachacuti prophecies, and the prophecies of the Terra Paipacha. And these prophecies speak of this time we are living in as a time when of the regathering, of the reweaving of the human family together, that we have entered into a time where we are no longer separated by space or culture, where we can weave back together and can bring what's beautiful of ourselves forward, and to give that to all of humanity. And in this reweaving, part of this process of this age that we also call the age of reencounter, or the age of the sacred remembering what a human truly is and what we really are doing here. We are at a very beautiful place where we can learn to accept one another and our religious beliefs and our spiritual ideas, even when they're different, and to be able to express those differences and celebrate those differences in one another. And in this way, it's through our differences that a new golden world, the Koripacha, the prophesized time of human perfection, if you will, or the golden age of humanity, it comes after this reweaving process. During this reweaving process, we have a lot of tupai going on, a lot of fighting, as we fight for which views of reality and which views of culture are correct. It's actually a battle for the mind and soul of the individual. It's no longer, we aren't fighting over resources and over lands anymore. We're now fighting over ideologies. And this whole Peruvian concept of this golden age and of something we call Yanitin, which is the harmonious interactions between opposing forces. Through this type of philosophy, we are able to truly get a glimpse or see a vista of a brand new world, a world in which we can all celebrate each other, and we can take what's different in all of our traditions and honor that. And because those things are different, they show us unique ways in which the nature of reality is flexible, or ways in which we have yet to discover the absolute truth. And it's through these differences that we can develop a brand new technology, a brand new way of living. And this is the goal of this whole process of personal development of Peruvian shamanism, is to create within yourself a person of personal power, a development of this personal power, which is actually what drives our life and makes the things that are available to us, to develop personal power so that we can be agents of transformational change on our planet, so that we can help to usher in a new age of harmony and a new age of honoring our polarity, of finding ways to use our polarity to create beautiful things instead of destructive things. And it marks for us a stepping into the spiritual adulthood of humanity. We see it as we are at this moment stepping away from our spiritual adolescence, which is symbolized by our fear of differences, our fear of offending the spiritual world, our fear of retribution, and stepping into a new age of harmony and a new age of love, where we can truly work together putting forward what's best in our species and developing a culture that nourishes that. And that is our hope for the future. And the process of Peruvian shamanism is to develop an individual with the personal power and the developed character to be able to function as an agent of change, that learns how to stay in a place of power where they have something truly monumental to offer the situation of life. Because it is only from that place of centered power that we can do something to remedy the ills inside of our own life and inside of the world we live in. This is the purpose and the promise of Peruvian cross-cultural shamanism. To understand it is not just a series of empowerments, but a true initiation to the natural world, a way of seeing our place within nature, a way of developing an independent connection with her, of growing our personal power, of refocusing the huchas or the heavy energies that were leading to conflict and illness, and to reorganize those energies and to push that forward into our dreams, into our goals. This is what Peruvian shamanism offers this modern world, a window into the past where we were one with the divinity and where we could behave as such. So that is a little bit about this tradition of Andean shamanism. Of course, that was a whole lot of what we call paina, or the right hand, whole lot of knowledge, yachai. And the tradition is not just about yachai, but about your personal experience of divinity. So, for that reason, for about 5 minutes, we are going to engage in a little process of centering ourselves so that you may have a taste or a rudimentary entrance into that Kaosai Pacha, into the world of living energies, where miracles are possible. So if you would all please sit as if in a meditative position, feet firmly on the floor, hands on your knees or facing upward, or in your lap facing upward. I want you to begin by taking a slow, centered breath deep into your stomach, high up into the chest, and fill your chest to full capacity with the air. Getting all of the wrinkles out and slowly, purposefully breathing out. Emptying all of the air. Starting with this breath, I want you to breathe in and out through your nose only. Breathing deep into the stomach, high into the chest, but not breathing so that you create tension in your body and your shoulders. Breathing in a way that you can remain relaxed. And as you exhale your air, see feeling yourself being more relaxed. Breathing deep into a relaxed stomach and relaxing on the exhale, breathing out all the tensions, the distortions of the day. Continuing to breathe like this, bring your awareness down. down into your stomach, into the area of the navel. As if your awareness drops from your head to your stomach. Deep into your stomach and relaxing on the out breath. Understanding that as you're breathing, you are truly becoming one with your natural environment again. Think of the interdependence between the animal world and the plant world that is facilitated through your breath. How you are needed for the survival of the plant kingdom, and how the plant kingdom is needed for your survival. But all you have to do is breathe. With your awareness in your stomach and your eyes closed, I want you to become aware of the field of personal space that surrounds your body. It's that same space that feels violated when someone gets too close. And with your awareness reaching out from your navel, see if you can outline the shape of your personal space around you. How does it look? Is it round? Does it have dents or depressions within it? Is it close to your body or far from you? Now understand that this field of personal space is also your field of free will, that you have control over it, and that nothing can enter in a spiritual sense or exit without your permission. And intend or will or imagine that this personal space opens above your head, and ask the sweet purple samis, life-giving energies of the upper world to descend into your crown and the nape of your neck, forming like hands, cradling your brain, the upper part of your head. And if anywhere within your brain or upper skull feels stagnant, tense, or heavy, and it is ready to go, allow it to break off into the flow of purple energy, now moving down into your eye sockets, down into the roof of your mouth, down through your jaw, illuminating your entire head in its soft purple radiance. And anywhere within your head that feels heavy, stagnant, or tense, allow it to move down with the flow of energy if it is willing to go, as it enters into your throat. And as this light enters your throat, to move across your shoulders, allowing anywhere that feels tense, heavy, or stagnant within those regions, it is ready to break loose into the flow of life-giving energies, cascading down from your crown and nape of your neck. As it moves down your arms and hands, moving down the front of your chest, your sternum, and your spine, and around your rib cage, illuminating your chest in a glowing purple light. And anywhere inside of your chest that feels heavy, stagnant, or tense, if it is ready to move, allow it to effortlessly flow down the cascading waterfall of purple light as it enters into the top of your abdomen, down to your pelvic region and across your hips, illuminating your abdomen and pelvis in this purple light. And allow any heaviness, stagnation that is ready to move, allow it to break loose and move down with the flow of light. Moving down your legs, your thighs, your calves and shins, down into your feet. Now starting to move out, illuminating a field around your body, illuminating your personal space. And anywhere within your personal space that feels stagnant, tense, or heavy, allow it to flow down towards your feet in the cascading waterfall of purple light. Continuing to flow the light in through your crown, down through your body, and around your body. Anything within or around you that feels heavy, stagnant, or tense, allow it to move down toward your feet and collect in a bundle between your legs or between your feet. Now this bundle you are collecting is hucha. And as I said before, it is not a waste product. In fact, it has a very powerful use to initiate a form of ancient prayer with our mother, our galactic mother, which is Pachamama, or Mother Earth. So using your disciplined imagination, your will or intention, intend to open your personal space below your feet and invite the spirit of Mother Earth to come up into your space and take this bundle of hucha, which is like chocolate for her, and she loves to eat it. Allow her to come and take this hucha, knowing that she will turn it into a fertilizer for your future. But you must invite her up, because nothing enters or exits your field of free will without your permission. Giving that energy to her and allowing Pachamama to take that gift back down into the earth with her. Closing your field of personal space below your feet and return to the soft lavender energy entering in through your crown and nape of your neck. And as it enters into your skull and into your head, it replaces all of the spaces where the hucha once was, leaving no vacuums and refilling them with life-giving light. Moving down into your throat, replacing any of the spaces left behind with this purple light. Moving across your shoulders and down your arms, replacing any of the empty spaces with purple light. Moving down your spine and sternum, around your ribs and illuminating your chest, re-informing it, any of the empty spaces with the soft lavender life-giving essence. Moving down into your abdomen, and likewise refilling the empty spaces within your stomach, within your upper and lower abdomen with this purple light. Moving down into your pelvis and down your legs to your feet, reinforming your entire physical body with light, with the architectures of the divine template of the human being, allowing it to move out and around your body, filling your personal space with light, a soft purple light. Allow it to completely fill your aura, making it rounder, pushing out the wrinkles and the depressions, making it smoother. And remain in this light for just one moment and allow these words in Quechua to move into you and through you. Iari texe apukuna, iari texe dustakuna. Ahayo Pachamama ampui ampui ampui. Ahayo Pachamamita kuna ampui ampui ampui. Ahayo Mama Unu ampui ampui ampui. Ahayo Mama Mayu ampui ampui ampui. Ahayo Nustakuna ampui ampui ampui. Ahayo Mama Kocha ampui ampui ampui. Ahayo Mama Kia ampui ampui ampui. Ahayo Wilka Waira kuna ampui ampui ampui. Ahayo Inti taita ampui ampui ampui. Ahayo Estrella ampui ampui ampui. Ahayo Kuichi ampui ampui ampui. Ahayo Pakukuna ampui ampui ampui. Ahayo Machukuna ampui ampui ampui. Ahayo Misakuna ampui ampui ampui. Ahaya Pakarina kuna ampui ampui ampui. Ahaya Ita Pu kuna ampui ampui ampui. Ahayo Yakta apukuna ampui ampui ampui. Ahaya Suyu apukuna ampui ampui ampui. Ahaya Tekse Muhu Amaru ampui ampui ampui. Nukaiku kanchispa runakuna. Intik cherikuna. Pachamamak cherikuna. Wirakochin huntin sonko, tikse muhu huntin sonko, Wirakochin ni koktni, sonkorpi, tupaikui, misaipi, kaiwakwi. Taking note with your awareness in your abdomen of your field of personal space. How has it changed from the beginning of this exercise to now? How does it feel to you? Is it the same, different? What energies are running around? What vitality? Making a personal note of it. And I would like to thank you all for entertaining this little exercise to help you to taste that Kausaipacha, that animistic world of living consciousness. Back to you, Hank.
All right. Just give me one moment. I just want to bring up a slide for everyone. I hope everybody enjoyed Zane's presentation. If you're in the chat room, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and you can type them into that chat box, and we can go over answers to some of your questions for a time here. But the main thing that I want to bring to your attention is Zane is going to be coming up for 7 different weekends throughout the summer for an apprenticeship program. And normally this apprenticeship takes years to go through. Some people might take 1 weekend, 1 year, another weekend, another year, and it takes a long time. But the first time this year, he's going to be doing it all 7 weekends in 1 year. So it's really an intensive commitment. And we have a special offer for those who have attended this webinar today. If you decide if this resonates with you and you decide that you hear the call of the shaman, if you go to the website shamanapprenticeship.com and decide to sign up, if you use the promo code right for me, it will save you $100 off your registration for either there's a payment program, or if you wanted to do it in full by the start of the classes, you have that opportunity. But if you have questions about what you experienced tonight, please type them in the chat room, and we'd be happy to answer those questions. I'll give everybody a few minutes in case somebody's trying to type here. And I should also mention that even if the program doesn't feel right for you right now, Zane will be teaching in Lilydale a couple workshops this year. I don't have the specifics quite yet, but I will be happy to email those to everybody that signed up today once those have officially been announced, which should be March 1st. When everything on the fellowship's website has been made available. And then he also, Zane, if you can talk a little bit, I know you have a couple things coming up, I think, in the Columbus area.
Let's see here. I will be going down to North Carolina here in March, around March 17th, 18th, and 19th, the Asheville region of North Carolina. We hopefully will have a class set up there. It will be a kind of an introductory class, and the guy right now that is helping me with that, he's actually in Brazil visiting the John of God compound at this time, but he will be back soon. So if anyone is interested in anything that might be going on in the Asheville, Knoxville region, you can contact me at all lowercase donzanekerfman@gmail.com, and I can get you that information since he does not have it posted up yet. Also, I will be doing something called Calling in the Sunlight, which is a weekend of ceremonies in Gore, Virginia. It's in the Potomac lowlands there, about an hour and a half outside of DC on a beautiful piece of land. Yeah, there's going to be several other healers and like Qigong masters and stuff like that. And we're each going to be presenting certain information over this retreat. It will have a wonderful, from what I understand, a wonderful cook that will be preparing our meals. They will be adjusted to your diet to some degree. You know, vegan and gluten-free foods is what they specialize in. And there will be time also for healings and other types of divinations and things like that with all of us who are presenting there. I'll be presenting several things. We will be doing a medicine wheel ceremony. We're going to be doing a traditional Andean breathing exercise that brings vitality to your whole system there, and helps to connect you to the environment. We'll be doing that outside. I call it the breath of life, but in the Andes it's called humutai, and it's a way of establishing our center with the universe there. I'll also be doing a fire ceremony and some ecstatic drumming over that weekend. And that's the weekend of April 24th. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I have right now that's concreted in the near future. We're also working out some things in the Arlington, Virginia region, and also looks like there may be some offerings going on in the Los Angeles region of California this year as well. So you know, as Shaman Apprenticeship program, or shamanapprenticeship.com will have a lot of these dates up as they are coming in, and also the main website, which is solkamune.com, will be back up here around March 12th to the 15th, somewhere in that time frame, and it will have a complete list and a complete information on all of the work that we do at the Solkamune Ayu.
Great. And we did have a question from Bonita. She said that when you had them release the heavy energy downward, she had a moment of panic that interested her. Her body wanted to hold the energy, but then got back to the rhythm that you created for them. Do you have any words aiding with this release?
Yes, that's very wonderful, in fact, because it is a showing that you overcame something pretty major right there, if you to tell you the truth. See, as we are releasing hucha, especially when we are unaccustomed to the release of hucha, this hucha has been almost like a security blanket that we've become used to in our life. We're used to feeling a little bit of this heaviness. And then, of course, the other thing that happens is that we view this heaviness because it creates illnesses and because it leads to conflicts in our life. We have a tendency to view it as something toxic or something that is very, very caustic, that we are afraid of to a degree. And sometimes it's hard for us to understand that it's only caustic within our energy system. It is just like in nature, you know, there's a lot of things that to try to say this in the most tasteful way, there's a lot of byproducts produced by the animal world that in and of themselves would be kind of toxic for that animal, but once released and given to Mother Earth, becomes the very fertilizers that new life grows out of. Also, with this moment of panic of releasing this, it shows that you actually tapped into a hucha or a condition that you were not 100% sure if you were ready to move through yet. And it shows that you were still able to move through it, because the truth of the matter is that nothing that breaks loose into that flow of energy, nothing can break loose into that flow of energy unless it is ready to be removed from our energy system. So it sounds as though you had released or broken off some of the heavy energy, and then there was some more that you were still being informed by or still learning the lessons from. And then you have on a spiritual sense learned that lesson and were able to then let that go as well. So it's very beautiful that you had such a powerful experience with this exercise.
Great. And in case not everybody's logged into the chat, somebody, Diane Black, she did post the link for calling in the sunlight. So for those of you who might not be on the chat, it is crystalreikitherapy.com/schedule.html if you wanted to find out more about that program.
Yes, I'm very happy to see Diane is on the call here tonight. I will be seeing you the 8th if all goes well here.
Were there any other questions? Well, Jake, just another brief moment to see if anybody else has a question about either the program or about the experience tonight, and answer that. I should plug Zane's book real quick too. He's the author of Inca Mountain Magic, and half the time he's out of his book. So every time he comes up to teach, I always ask him, "Did you bring your book?" And I get the puppy dog eyes that he forgot again, or he already sold out since the last time.
Yes, I have been bookless for many workshops, not just with you, but many of my workshops. I have not had a copy of my book on me. So I am remedying that for this year. I am going to see if I can't buy a humongous bulk supply of them so that I have them at every workshop. But yes, it has become kind of a running joke between us.
Yeah. But we have a couple people saying thank you in the chat, but it doesn't look like there's any more questions right now. So I want to thank everybody for attending the webinar. I hope you enjoyed. And if you're listening to this on a replay, check out the Expo website and see what we might have of Zane's coming up. And Zane, I know you normally have a website. It's not up at the moment, but you can always reach out to Zane on his email. In fact, if you email him at his email address, I'm sure he can sign you up for his email list, and you can get all the different workshops and presentations that Zane will be doing throughout the Ohio area and beyond. So I encourage you to do that. Again, that email address is donzanekerfman, all lowercase, @gmail.com. Zane, any closing remarks, or are you complete?
I feel pretty complete. I will tell everyone that Shaman Apprenticeship program might go down for about a day or so as the calendar is being reworked and everything, so that all the new offerings will be available there. But that they can always get a hold of any information they need about the apprenticeship program also from your website there.
Right, and I have 2 phone numbers. There's a local number, 440-720-HEAL, and for those of you who might be calling long distance, we do have an 800 number set up for you to call if you like. That number is 888-597-HEAL, spelled which comes out to 4325. So 2 easy to remember phone numbers, or check it out on the website, shamanapprenticeship.com. Easy to remember. And hopefully you decide that you hear the call to shaman, and whether it's the apprenticeship program or one of Zane's other offerings, I certainly hope that you got something out of the webinar tonight and you look to further your knowledge and your experience in cross-cultural shamanism. All right, well, thank you, everybody. We'll go ahead and call it a night. If you do think of any questions after we end our broadcast here, please don't hesitate to give us an email, and we'll be happy to get back to you. Thank you again.
Many blessings.